The dust settled slow, like it was trying to bury the past along with the land. Caleb eased the tired horse forward, the wagon creaking behind him as the broken ranch came into view. The house leaned to one side, old and hollow, its windows dark and empty. This place had cost him $1. 4 quarters he had counted himself, the last money left after selling the life he once had. 421 days since he last heard Sarah laugh. He had not come here to build something. He had come here to disappear. The air smelled of dry grass and sun-burned earth. The silence pressed in so hard it felt heavier than noise. Caleb stopped near a trough filled with cracked dirt and spider webs. He sat there for a moment, staring at the land like it might speak first. Then he saw it, a faint glow, soft, unsteady. A candle flame flickering inside the small lined shack near a few stubborn trees. Caleb's body went still. He was not alone. He climbed down from the wagon. His boots made no sound in the deep dust. His hand went to his side out of habit, then stopped. He had sold his pistol. Sold everything. He had no fight left in him. He walked toward the shack slowly, his bones aching from more than the road. He leaned close to the dirty window and looked inside. A young woman knelt on the floor. She was Chinese, her black hair pulled into a simple braid. She wore a faded red silk dress, torn and worn, but still bright against the gray wood around her. A single candle lit the room. In front of her sat a small bowl and a nearly empty sack of rice. With careful focus, she picked up single grains of rice with chopsticks and placed them in the bowl, counting each one. Her lips moved, whispering numbers too soft to hear. It was not cooking, it was survival. Caleb felt no anger, no claim, only a deep hollow echo inside his chest. He saw a person stripped down to almost nothing, and it felt familiar. He knocked gently on the door frame. The sound cracked through the silence. The woman's head snapped up. Fear filled her eyes. The chopsticks fell from her fingers and scattered the rice across the floor. She stared at him like a trapped animal. Her name was May. Her world had shrunk to this shack and the slow passing of days. When a man knocked, it always meant something was about to be taken. She looked at the stranger in the doorway. Tall, thin, worn down by the world. He did not move toward her. He did not shout. He only looked tired. Caleb glanced at the spilled rice, then back at her. "I bought the land," he said. His voice sounded rough from lack of use. May nodded. She waited for the order to leave. There was nowhere to go. The desert on one side, a town that hated her on the other. Caleb looked from the big broken house to her small shack. He let out a long breath. "You can stay," he said. Then he turned and walked away, like the decision had taken the last of his strength. Days passed with little sound. They lived like shadows on the same land. Caleb worked on the main house, dragging out rot and patching holes. May watched from a distance. She kept her routines. Her garden, her snares, her quiet counting of food. One afternoon, smoke exploded from the stove Caleb was fixing. He stumbled back, coughing, his face black with soot. From her doorway, May saw him and almost smiled. Almost. He caught the look and wiped his face, leaving a dark smear. He did not react. He only went back to work. They did not cross into each other's spaces. Not yet. But the silence between them began to change. It no longer felt empty. One evening, Caleb watched May mend her red dress. Her stitches were small and perfect. "That's good work," he said. "My mother taught me," she replied. "A good stitch makes old things new." Caleb swallowed. "My wife used to say that." Later, May left a cup of wild berries on his porch. A gift. That night they spoke under the stars. She told him she had stopped counting seasons after her father died. He told her he counted every day. The well broke when summer deepened. Caleb fought it for 2 days. When it failed, May stepped in without a word. Leather, wire, patience. Together they brought water back from the earth. When it flowed, May smiled. A real smile. Something changed after that. They shared meals at a distance, then closer. Stories followed. The wagon he rebuilt became more than a task. It became a sign. When two men rode in one morning, bringing threats and lies, Caleb stepped forward. For the first time in a long while, he stood for something. May stood beside him, not behind. When the riders left, driven off by witness and truth, the land felt quieter than ever. Caleb held the dollar coin that bought it all. "Best dollar I ever spent," he said. May smiled. The counting had stopped. He was home. The men did not come back the next day, but their shadows stayed. Caleb felt it in the quiet, in the way the birds lifted too fast from the ground. He knew the type. Men who believed land only belonged to whoever could scare others away from it. A Chinese woman living alone made this place a target. A broken ranch bought for $1 made it tempting. May felt it too. She slept lighter. Her knife stayed closer. The counting did not return, but the caution did. She had learned long ago that peace could be borrowed, never owned. Caleb worked harder. He fixed the fence line, post by post, under the burning sun. His hands split and bled, but he did not stop. Every nail he drove felt like a promise he did not know how to say out loud. At night, he sat on the porch with a lantern, not guarding the land, but guarding the idea that this place could stay what it was becoming. One evening, May joined him. She brought 2 bowls of thin soup and set one beside him. They ate without speaking at first. The stars came out slow, like they were unsure if they were welcome.
"They will come again," May said.
Caleb nodded. "I know. You could ask them to leave," she said. "Because of me." He looked at her then, really looked. At the calm in her face that had nothing to do with safety. "This land is yours too," he said. "If they want it, they deal with both of us." May lowered her eyes, but her shoulders relaxed in a way Caleb had not seen before. The next morning, a letter arrived. No stamp, no name, just a warning. Leave or lose what little you have. Caleb burned it in the stove without a word. May watched the ashes curl and disappear. The men came 2 days later, 3 of them this time. Horses strong, voices loud. They rode right up to the house, acting like it already belonged to them. "This land ain't yours," the leader said. "Paper don't mean much out here." Caleb stepped forward, slow and steady. "It means enough." They laughed when May came out and stood beside him. One of them spat into the dirt. Another made a joke that tasted like rot. May did not flinch. She spoke clear. "You are trespassing." That surprised them more than anger would have. The leader's smile thinned. "You think you belong here," he said to her. "I do," May replied. The moment stretched tight. Caleb felt his heart pound, but he did not move. He had no gun, no force, just ground he stood on and truth that would not bend. A 4th rider appeared then, an older man from town, the sheriff. He pulled up slow, eyes sharp. He looked at the men, then at Caleb, then at May. "I told you, boys," the sheriff said. "This land is owned. Law stands here, even if you don't like it." The men backed off with curses and dust. They promised they were not done. But promises made in anger often die in daylight. After they left, May let out a breath she had been holding since childhood. That night, rain came, hard and sudden. It soaked the ground, filled the well, washed the dust from the air. Caleb and May stood in it like children, letting it run down their faces. For the first time in years, Caleb laughed. The sound startled him. May laughed too, soft and bright. As the months passed, the ranch healed, not fast, but true. The fields showed green. The house stood straighter. The silence became friendly. Caleb learned May's stories in pieces. Her father's shop, the long journey west, the way the world shrank after loss. She learned his too. The sickness, the quiet grave, the days when breathing felt like work. They did not rush anything. Trust grew like roots, unseen but strong. One winter morning, May fell ill. Fever took her strength. Caleb stayed by her side, feeding her broth, changing cloths, counting breaths the way she once counted rice. He slept on the floor near her bed, afraid that closing his eyes might mean losing another life. She lived. When she woke clear, she saw him there and reached for his hand without thinking. He did not pull away. Spring returned gentle and warm. One evening, Caleb took the dollar coin from his pocket and placed it on the table between them. "This bought land," he said, "but you made it a home." May covered the coin with her hand. Then it was enough. The ranch that cost $1 was no longer cheap. It was priceless. The trouble did not return the way Caleb expected. There were no guns in the night, no fires, no loud threats. Instead, it came quiet, dressed as law. A man from the county rode in with papers and a stiff voice. He spoke of old claims, missing records, and land once tied to a failed rail line. He said the sale for $1 was suspicious. He said the land might be taken back and sold again. Caleb listened without anger. He had learned that rage only fed men like this. May stood beside him, hands folded, eyes steady. "You can take the land," Caleb said, "but you will not take what was built on it." The man looked confused. "Land is everything," he said. "No," May replied, "it is not." The case moved to town. Weeks passed. The ranch waited in silence again, but this time it was not lonely. They worked together, ate together, sat on the porch in the evenings, watching the sky change colors like it was telling a long story. In town, people began to speak, not in whispers. They talked about the quiet ranch that brought water back to dead ground, about the woman who helped mend clothes for free, about the man who paid his debts slow but honest. The sheriff spoke for them. So did the shop owner. Even the preacher who once looked away stood up and said the land was being used right. When the decision came, it was simple. The land stayed. Caleb walked out of the courthouse feeling lighter than he had in years. May stepped beside him and, without thinking, took his hand. No fear followed the touch, only warmth. Life moved forward. They planted more fields, built a second room onto the house. May's garden grew wide and strong. Caleb's hands found rhythm again. At night, they shared stories not of pain, but of small hopes. A bigger barn, a longer table, a place where no one had to count grains of rice again. One evening, Caleb brought out a small box he had made himself. Inside was the dollar coin, cleaned and polished, resting on a strip of red cloth. "This dollar changed my life," he said. "But you changed what it meant." May looked at the coin, then at him. Her eyes shone, but her voice stayed calm. "I did not save you," she said. "We saved each other." They did not need a big wedding, no crowd, just the land, the sky, and a promise spoken plain. The sheriff stood witness. The wind carried the words away and kept them safe. Years passed. The ranch became known as a place of quiet help. Travelers stopped and were fed. Those with nowhere to go found work and rest. May taught children how to sow and grow food. Caleb taught them how to fix what was broken instead of throwing it away. They grew old slower than most, or maybe time just treated them kinder. When Caleb's hair turned white, he still carried the dollar coin in his pocket. When May's hands grew stiff, her stitches stayed neat. One winter, Caleb took ill. He rested in the same bed where May once fought fever. She sat beside him, counting his breaths now, steady and calm. "You gave me a home," he said one night. "You gave me a life," she answered. When he passed, it was quiet, like a long day finally ending. May buried him on the hill where he first stood guard over the land. She placed the dollar coin on the grave for a moment, then took it back. "This is not what bought this place," she said softly. Love did. She lived many years after that. The ranch never failed. When she was gone, people still came. They remembered. They told the story of a man who bought land for $1 and found his life again, and of a woman who stopped counting rice because she was finally full. The land stayed quiet, and it stayed home.